Hello, everyone. Don't know about you, but I quite like that music. Quite relaxing, chilled music, wasn't it? To kind of ease you into the Mautic update. So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I do apologise. I've been a bit sick this week, so I'm hopefully not going to be sounding like a frog by the end of this, but I might have to stop and take a drink of water. So, yeah, thanks for joining the Mautic update today. For those of you I haven't had the privilege of meeting, my name's Ruth Cheesley. My pronouns are she, her. If my accent didn't give it away, I live in the UK and I'm currently project lead for Mautic. My email is always open, so feel free to drop me an email if you have any questions or if there's anything that you want to particularly discuss at any point. And I will share these slides later, but you can also watch this back at a later date if you want to. So it's a really exciting time at the moment to be part of the Mautic community. This year has been a really fundamental shift for Mautic. We've become an independent project. We've seen an explosion in growth in terms of people adopting Mautic and using Mautic, and also in terms of people actually stepping up and getting involved in the community, both as individuals and as companies. I'm going to explain a couple of the things that I think are really exciting at the moment, and also give you a bit of an idea of what's coming up on the horizon. If you have any questions, there's a Q&A section. Hopefully by now you understand the Q&A section, but if you could stick them in the Q&A, that's great. Feel free to use the emojis so that I know you're all still awake. I think Joey said it's very weird sort of speaking into the abyss and not actually having anyone looking at you, so thank you. Awesome. So let's get started with what's new, the latest news from Mautic. Now, obviously, the biggest news from Mautic last year was the fact that we became an independent open source project. So we have first shared that announcement in April last year. So this time last year, we were actually just getting to the point of having a final draft of our governance model. We launched the membership model in August and the community portal in October. I can't believe it's only October. It feels like it's been here forever. And we had our meeting where we actually elected the new council formally in December. And the next step in this is actually our first General Assembly meeting, a full General Assembly meeting, which is happening straight after this. So if you want to become a member, if you can do that, pay your dues, but then send me a message because I might need to just manually add you to the assembly because there's some issues with Open Collective. But it's been an amazing journey and it's been great seeing the community being involved in this whole process. So this wasn't something that we just created and kind of told people this is the governance model we're going to have. It was a very collaborative process. And this is the amazing Mautic Council that was voted for you, by you, sorry. The way we've worked it in the first year is that the top three got a 3-year term, the next two had a 2-year term, and then the next two had a 1-year term. So this means that when we re-elect into those positions, we elect in for 3 years, but we don't lose the entire council in one go. So each year there'll be elections for some positions on the council. So the first thing I want to share, a bit of breaking news. I think we need like a drum roll for these, or maybe an emoji roll. We can have an emoji roll of some news. Is that we currently have elections open on the community portal for 2 seats in the Mautic Council. So those 2 seats that were just 1 year because they will end at the end of December, and also 4 leadership team positions because those people have also done 3 or sometimes 4 years in the role. So the leadership team roles we've got open at the moment is the team lead of community, some big boots to fill, and also assistant team lead for education, marketing, and product. Again, like people have done an amazing job, but it's time that we move on and have new people come in. So the nominations are open now. They're going to close at the end of August. So go and have a look and see what these roles entail. Make sure that you submit your proposal in good time. We're not going to extend the deadlines. And voting will then close at the end of September. And there'll be a handover period towards the end of the year, the last 3 months of the year, where the outgoing team leads or assistant team leads will support the incoming team lead or assistant team lead, with the idea that these roles will start in the new year. We've also got 2 seats on the council, which I mentioned. Slightly longer to get your nomination in for this, 30th of September. Voting will close on the 31st of October, and the roles will start on the 4th of November. So I really encourage you to have a look and chat with the people who are doing these roles currently, if you're interested in stepping up. It is a great way to give back to Mautic. It's a great way to serve the project and ensure that we continue to make progress and we continue to grow and thrive. So some news that I announced at Mautic Conference India, if you weren't there, you might not have heard this news, is that Mautic became a digital public good this year, a DPG. Now, DPG Alliance is a multi-stakeholder initiative that is endorsed by the United Nations. And the aim of it is to promote digital public goods so that we can create a more equitable world. And so Mautic being recognised as digital public goods says that we are contributing towards creating a more equitable world and accelerating the adoption of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. That's a buzzword in the industry. So if you're working with third sector, with non-profits, with social good organizations, with government, this is a really good thing to make sure you put in your pitches, because this is something that they are interested in aligning themselves with. So it's really awesome that Mautic is being recognized in that way. And you can read more about that at mau.tc/DPG. I have to say that one slowly, otherwise it gets a bit mushed. So what about Mautic itself and Mautic's growth? Last year, we started doing open startup reports, which was inspired by one of the companies in the community, Friendly, who have been doing this for quite some time. And this is a monthly report that I write on the blog. This month is a little bit delayed, but it will be up soon, which tells you what's happening financially within the project, what's happening practically, who are the top contributors, companies, individuals, and so forth. Any interesting data that we see from the stats on uptake and things like that. So this might not be a surprise to some of you, but some of you it might be. Mautic's on a really strong trajectory of growth. We're seeing a 40% growth in websites that are deployed that have Mautic tracking enabled between Q1 2023 and Q1 2024. So 40% growth in that period of time. And on average, 6,500 websites add Mautic tracking every quarter. That's between since Q2 2023, so from then to now, the average. So we are reversing the plateau that we saw sort of post-pandemic, where things really slowed down. We're starting to see a real acceleration in websites having Mautic tracking enabled. And that's not an exact one-to-one, but on the number of Mautic instance, without having like callback tracking and things like that, it's difficult for us to exactly know, but it's a rough translation of how many Mautic instances there are in the world. And we get that data from builtwith.com. As a product, we've also made some huge advances. You will have heard about Mautic 5 and Mautic 5.1 from various speakers today. There were 788 pull requests in Mautic 5. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. That's a major release. So it's not unusual to have a lot of pull requests in a major release, because often we spend a year working on it. But 339 pull requests in a minor release is pretty epic. I mean, that's amazing. So just to put it in context, that means that we've had people creating those pull requests, but we've also had 2 people testing each of those and 1 person doing a code review. And sometimes actually more than that, because sometimes people will test and then there's a bug that's not quite working and the developer fixes it and someone else comes and tests. So that the minimum 3,351 contributions went into those 2 releases. I mean, that's just mind-blowing to me. That is amazing to think that the people out in the community are making these contributions. But actually, it's coming from quite a small base of contributors at this time. You probably will have heard it till you're sick in the teeth today. We need more people to help us with testing. We need more people to help us with reviewing and so forth. So from a product, I feel like we've really made some great strides. We're really starting to add features that are bringing us up to parity with some of our competitors in the proprietary world. We're taking feedback very seriously, and the UI UX team have been doing an absolutely amazing job of this, where they ask people, what do you not like about Mautic? Which is always painful to hear sometimes. And we got very direct feedback from a lot of people about what they didn't like. And the team have been just amazing in being like, right, well, what can we fix? Is this valid? Is this not valid? What can we fix? Let's fix it. So 5.1 is like the first iteration of that work coming out into the public domain. So amazing job. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. In terms of financial stability, because this is a major focus for us right now, in the before times, before we became an independent project, you can see our revenues were like 20, 30K, something like that. We did have seed funding from Acquia for a year of 80K, but we managed to go from like 20, 30K to 62K in our first year. So last year we raised 62K. That was still around about 40K short of our target with that seed funding from Acquia. So far this year, we're already ahead of what we raised in the whole year last year. However, we also have quite a lot further to go because obviously we don't have that funding from Acquia at the same level. So we do have to really focus on bringing in funding, which is coming from members, so companies predominantly becoming a member of Mautic, but also other revenue streams like the trials, for example, and some other things that I'm going to talk about. So it is a major focus for the Mautic project, making sure that we actually can financially continue to function as a project and cover the expenses that we need to cover. Member numbers are rising, but there's a long way to go. So in 2024, my aim is that we have 50 new paying individual members, which will help us to raise around about 5K for Mautic. At the moment, I had to change this because we've had a flurry of members. Awesome. Thank you, everyone who's joined today. So we've had 16 members join so far this year. I'd like us to get up to 50. So just to recap, it's $100 a year. And you can also prorate that based on the Big Mac index. I'll give you a link you can click and a code you can zap in a second. And I think this is a great quote. So I've come back to this quote several times. It would be lovely to have millions of people supporting us, but at the moment that's unrealistic. What we really need to focus on is having a smaller group of people who really care about Mautic. So having thousands of fans who really support everything we do. So my goal is that we will have 1,000 fans by 2034. So 1,000 members, individual or corporate members of Mautic in the next 10 years. So I really believe we can do that. If you think about it, 40,000 websites that have got Mautic on them, and we want 1,000 of those people to become a member of Mautic at $100. That's not too much of a stretch. And also factoring in corporate members as well. So if you're not yet a member, here's the super snazzy code you can scan to go there. If your IT security people tell you not to scan QR codes, there is a link you can read there and type in on your phone or on your desktop. If you want the data that tells you how much you can pay if you're in a country other than the US, go to mau.tc/big-mac. And you'll see the countries, and then there'll be a column that says the minimum amount that you need to contribute from that country. You can also become a member by contributing at least 5 hours a month over at least 3 months, so we can see a consistent history of contribution. And then you just fill in a form, and we confirm that you meet the requirements. And company membership is from $1,200 a year. So if you are using Mautic in your business to do your marketing, do think about whether you can allocate some of your marketing budget to be able to become a member of Mautic, to support Mautic to continue supporting you. And likewise, if you are providing Mautic as a service, or you are a plugin developer and you're creating plugins for Mautic, please think about some way that you can contribute back either by becoming a member or by just donating a portion of your profits each month. That would be really helpful and really help us keep moving forwards. And this year we also awarded our first honorary members. So honorary membership is a lifetime membership, and this is awarded by the council based on a proposal. And it's for people who have contributed, like really significant contributions to Mautic. So David Hurley is the founder of Mautic. He created this idea. Alan Hartless is the first engineer who actually built most of what we use now as Mautic. And Dries Boytut is the CTO of Acquia, who gave so much to Mautic through the acquisition and also through allowing us to spin out as an independent project and continue to support us now as a member as well. So huge thanks to those three individuals. We really appreciate all of your support and all of your ongoing support for Mautic as well. So when I talk about contributors, anyone have a guess at how many people have contributed in some way to Mautic over the last decade? Chuck some numbers in the chat. 10,000, 60, 100, 20,000. What do we think? A couple of people saying 1,000, 2,000, 300. Interesting. 2,500. Nice. That would be nice. 146. Some people just stabbing numbers on the keyboard. Awesome. The actual number is 782. 782 people have contributed in some way through code, through reviews, through helping doing the marketing, through running events, all those kind of ways that we track contributions since Mautic first came into being. I really want us to 5x this. Well, I'd like us to 10x, but that's quite significant. But I think 5x this by 2034. So in 10 years' time, when we're here doing the Mautic update, in 10 years' time, I would like us to have nearly 4,000 contributors in that time. Because I feel like we can do that. If we improve the way that we onboard people, if we give people clear ways that they can actually contribute, ownership over things that they can do, and we really identify what skills we need, I think we can enable people to actually take some ownership of Mautic and give back in whatever way they can. If you want to know how you can do that right now, go to mau.tc/contribute. We've written up some guides for basic ways that we think, oh, if you're a writer, here's how to do that. If you're a designer, here's what you can do for that. If you're a tester, here's how you can help with that. So have a look at mau.tc/contribute. And Fridays are a really good time to join us for this, because on Fridays, we try to encourage companies to give their staff time for open source Fridays to come and contribute to Mautic. So there's usually more people around on a Friday. So those 782 people are on this image, and the size of their name is basically the amount of contributions they've made to Mautic. So let's have a look and see if your name is in this document, in this image. So we're going to move through the different areas. So keep your eyes peeled. What I love about this is that we've got people from Europe, we've got people from Africa, from India, from America, from Brazil. We've got people from all over the world featured here. And if you're thinking, oh, I see my name, wow, that's really tiny, or like you're having to get your magnifying glass out, maybe that's an opportunity for you to think about how you can contribute a bit more to Mautic. But also celebrate the people whose names are slightly larger, because they are the people who are making a big impact to Mautic. So with that in mind, my usual wonderful task at this point is to celebrate the top 10s. Yeah, so the top 10 company contributors to Mautic over the last calendar year. Here we go. So a huge thank you to these companies. Every company that contributes is important, but these ones are really going above and beyond to support Mautic and to help Mautic move forwards. So some familiar names, some might be new to you. Some are actually like one person being active in the community and they're in the top 10. So it's possible, you know. So a huge thank you to these companies for all your hard work over the last year. Now we're going to talk about the most active companies in the community. So it's not all about contributions. It's also about being involved in discussions and conversations. So these are the most active companies over the last calendar year. Again, some names that are familiar, but some names you might not have come across before. So a big thank you as well to these companies, and the same with the contributions. Some of these are literally just one person. So you can actually get up into these top 10 rankings just by yourself, by being involved and active in the community. So yeah, big hugs to everyone, all the companies here, and all the companies who enable their individuals to participate. So now we're going to look at the individuals. So the top 10 individual contributors in Mautic over the last calendar year. Oh, this is when my keyboard decides to stop working. There we go. So John, number one. One year John is going to be toppled, and I'm sure he'll be really, really happy that there's someone above him in the rankings. But not this year. It wasn't to be. So a huge, huge thank you to these individuals. I really want to call out Thomas Vertubo because he gave 115 PRs in 1 month, fixing old, outdated code in Mautic and making it better. That was just an incredible effort. And thank you again to everyone on this list who has helped Mautic in one way or another. Most active individuals, so these are the people involved in conversations, involved in moving things forwards, helping out with running events, helping out with discussions and things like that. So again, a huge thank you to these people. Without you, Mautic would be a much quieter place, but also we would never get as much done as we do now. So if your name or your company didn't appear on those lists, don't be downhearted, because honestly, my strong view is that all of us make up Mautic. Although Mautic is a product that we use, actually, we are what makes Mautic. The individuals who are giving up time to help each other, to build the product, to support each other, to grow together. And we have such an amazing community, such a welcoming community. And I think we all need to take a step back and celebrate being a part of that, because that is actually what is going to drive Mautic forwards, as well as having an amazing product. But the community and the welcoming community and the really being there for each other and helping each other to grow and thrive is what I feel separates us from lots of other projects. So in terms of contributing, we now have a new section on the community portal. The eagle-eyed of you have already seen this, because I've had people asking me, what's this role about? I've never heard about this. So you kind of got ahead of me on the game. So the contributing to Mautic section, if you go to mau.tc/get-contributing, you can find out available positions in the teams. So for example, there's a position that the marketing team have, which is an SEO manager, because we really need someone to take hold of managing and maintaining the SEO across all of our domains. There's also opportunities like assistant team leads, which I was mentioning earlier. So each of those has got a bit of a job description on there of what that entails, and other roles that you can take on. So we're making it really explicitly clear, this is what you can do for Mautic. But also for you, it means you can have a role that you can put on your CV or your LinkedIn profile that says, I am this role in this project, and this is what it means. Yeah, so we're trying really hard to be very clear and explicit on how you can help Mautic. You can also find lots of links there on how to get onboarded and how to start and how to contribute with the project. So do go and have a look at the community portal. You can log into the portal with your forums user account. So if you're already on the forums, click login, you'll see the login screen, use the same account, and you'll be away. And this year also we've seen Mautic represented at some really, really major, significant open source events. So we were fortunate enough to have a stand at FOSDEM right next door to the Mozilla stand, which was amazing because they were very popular. And we had loads of conversations there with people from all over the world about Mautic, people who knew Mautic, people who'd never heard of Mautic, old users of Mautic who were like, wow, that actually looks quite good now. It was a real pain when I used it 4 years ago or whatever. And also State of OpenCon in London, which is an up-and-coming open source event, but that was also a really great source of conversations and information. So if you know of open source or marketing or business development events that you think Mautic should be present at, whether that's us representing Mautic as Mautic, or whether that's us partnering up, so we have Mautic's presence and a company providing Mautic services, and we co-man a booth, we would love to hear about that, because we're really up for supporting that. So if you head over to Slack, go to mautic.org/Slack if you're not in Slack already, and go to team marketing. That's where we would love to hear from you about that. We're also hoping to really energize the Mautic meetups again, because they kind of fell off a cliff after the pandemic, but it's a really great way of bringing together people who are interested in Mautic, and it's also a great way of energizing the community. So I will talk a bit more about that a bit later, but T Community is the place to go for that. We've had our first ever Mauticamp in Lagos, Nigeria. So this was in November, and I was grateful to be able to attend. Over 50 people booked. There were some really great sessions. We had really great conversations, and also a Hacktoberfest sprint beforehand where we did lots of documentation writing. And I'd love you to be the next person to run a Mautic camp in your region. So Mautic camps are different from the con because they're actually run by the local community instead of run by the global community. You run them, you organize them, you fund them and what have you. So if you're interested in that, do let us know in the community team. And this is the first, well, another news, so a bit of a drum roll or emoji roll, that the Mautic Camp Africa has actually confirmed the date for the next event, which is the 11th and 12th of October, again in Lagos in Nigeria. So head over to Nigeria, #Nigeria on Slack if you're interested. They will be looking probably for sponsors and supporters and speakers. So yeah, keep an eye out for the news coming out about that soon. And this year we also had our first ever Mautic Conference India. So how many of you were at Mautic Conference India? I think there were quite a lot of us here who were there. It was an absolutely fantastic event. So many people at the India event that I had worked with professionally at Acquia or that we've been working with in open source or in Mautic for a long time. And we finally got to be in the same room together. So it was really amazing and such a great team running the event. So huge kudos to that team. And I'm sure you're all sort of sitting on the edge of your seat saying, yeah, Ruth, but what about the next one? Where's the next one? Some of you will know if you've been involved in the working group and what have you. Emojis, emoji roll. The next Mautic Conference in-person event is going to be in Europe. And it's going to be in Lisbon in Portugal in November. So the dates to hold in your diary, 4th and 5th of November, and maybe a day either side if you want to do some touristy things and what have you. It's going to be really great. I'm super excited that the team who are organizing this are so passionate and really, really looking forward to inviting us all over to Lisbon. We'll be putting out the usual call for speakers, call for sponsors and all of that kind of malarkey fairly soon. Put the date in your diary and we hope to see you there. But that's not all. There's also some more exciting news about Lisbon. Emojis! The other exciting news is we're launching the first ever Mautic Awards ceremony. So I've been talking about this, what feels like forever, at least for 2 years, about having a Mautic Awards ceremony. So it's your opportunity to dust off your glad rags and join us in Lisbon for a celebration of all things Mautic. Nominations are currently open if you go to mau.tc/awards-2024. So what are the awards about? It's about celebrating excellence with Mautic, recognizing individuals and organizations and celebrating their success. So you have to be a member to nominate a proposal, a project that you've worked on, and you need to be a member to vote as well. It's all going to be done through the community portal. So nominations open now and they're open until the end of September. Then we'll vote for a couple of weeks because there's a community voted award. There'll be an award ceremony during the con in Lisbon. We haven't confirmed the date and the venue yet, so around that time. And there's opportunities for you to join the judging panels. And there's also opportunities to join a working group that's organizing this. So if you like organizing events and awards dues and things like that, do think about joining WG Mautic Awards. I will just say that WG in front of a channel means you actually have to work to be in this group. Yeah, it's working group. So if you want to help work on the Mautic Awards, then please do join that channel. And these are the awards categories that we're proposing for this year. The Impact Award is celebrating projects that have had a really profound impact on maybe the business, the client, on Mautic. They've had some really innovative, groundbreaking use of marketing automation. That's going to be judged by a panel. The Community Choice Award is going to be judged by you, the community. So you will have a specific number of votes that you can use to vote for the top proposals that you want to see winning the Community Choice Award. The Mortician of the Year Award, so this is celebrating an individual who's gone above and beyond in their contributions to Mautic that year. This is a panel award as well, panel judged. And Partner of the Year. So partners are Mautic members who are also consistently contributing practically to Mautic. So they're the people who are really making Mautic. And this is an award that's going to be panel judged as well, recognizing a partner who's demonstrated outstanding commitment and contributions over the past year. So exciting. I'm very excited. I'm really looking forward to seeing proposals and the exciting things you're doing with Mautic. And yeah, let's get nominating. I'm just going to grab a drink 1 sec. So going forwards, a lot of people have kind of asked me today, so what's Mautic's focus? What are we focusing on going forwards? Last year, we did a really awesome couple of days workshop with the marketing team, where we were looking at what is actually our strategy for growing Mautic. How are we going to grow the project and grow the ecosystem around the project so that we all benefit? And this resulted in a heck of a lot of sticky notes on a very large Miro board over 2 days. Some of you here were probably in that workshop, so you'll remember the chaos and carnage. But it ended up shaking out into 3 areas. Helping people to find Mautic, helping people to use Mautic, and helping people to love Mautic. Yeah, so those are the 3 kind of tranches or chunks that we're focusing on as a project, so that we can grow Mautic's market share, so that we can grow the ecosystem, and so that we can grow a sustainable Mautic going forwards. So let's talk about how we're going to help people find Mautic. So this is like people who've never heard of marketing automation, through to people who've heard of marketing automation and they haven't heard of Mautic, or open source people who want to do marketing, but they're using Mailchimp and they didn't know Mautic existed. The first thing that we're learning from lots of places, and we've kind of knew ourselves, is that our website is way too focused on the community aspect. And this is just historical. Mautic.org was for the open source community. Mautic.com was the commercial SaaS business. Obviously, that was rolled into Acquia.com, and we were left with the community website. So we've got a project which is in progress at the moment, where we're going to be updating and refocusing the website to be much more product-led. We're reviewing, updating, and editing existing content. We're going to be creating new content, which showcases the features of Mautic, which also showcases the verticals that we know Mautic works really well in, and also has things like regional pages. So you can find people who work with Mautic in your area. You can find meetups in your area. You can find local language documentation and stuff like that. There's also going to be a searchable, filterable database of Mautic members, providing services so that corporate members can highlight themselves at certain tiers and above. They can highlight themselves in the verticals that they are specialist in, or in the regions that they are specialist in. And they can also receive leads from those pages. How you can help with this process: you can help with writing, reviewing, and editing content. So this is a huge task, and we're going to have basically like 1 Jira issue for each page where you can drop in and help work on tasks. You can help with optimizing content to make it much better for search engines. And in phase 2, note I'm saying phase 2, once we've got the website done, we are hoping to be able to translate it with Transifex. So the familiar interface that you're used to using for translating the language strings, hopefully we'll also be able to use that to be able to translate the main website. But that's going to be a way off. That's once we've actually, finalized the content. Providing feedback on wireframes, on designs, on proposals, and related topics. This is really important. We want to get your feedback. We want to get a sense of what you think about what we're proposing to change the website. And also helping to build, maintain, and update the site once it's done. So we do have a small group of people who are helping with that, but it's very, very small right now. So if that sounds interesting to you, the working group channel is WG Website Rebuild. Remember, working group means I actually have to do the work. So if you want to come and contribute and join the working group channel on Slack, and we would love to have your thoughts, ideas, and inspiration. Next, we're talking about what we've learned from the trials. We've learned a lot. We've had 2,500 people sign up for trials, many solopreneurs and small businesses. Lots of people aren't really exploring Mautic properly. They're not really going into all the different sections, or not installing the tracking code on their sites. And not many are converting to paying customers, which is less than we were expecting. And that's important because we get a percentage of all sales. So we're implementing a lot of lessons learned. We're learning from why it is that they're not exploring different areas, and also implementing new features like a guided help tour and more useful documentation that will help address this. So this is live, but this is a project that is actually like a work in progress at the moment. And another thing that we're going to work on to help people find Mautic is using Mautic to drive an inbound marketing strategy, basically dog fooding, using Mautic, our own Mautic instance, to properly do an inbound marketing strategy. We may even think about doing a kind of automate your marketing roadshow where we partner with local partners. We go out and do like a day's workshop on what is marketing automation, how do you use it, how does Mautic work with this? And then obviously that local partner gets to follow up with those leads. We're going to be developing useful resources for the different personas and different stages in the journey with Mautic. So if you have resources that you'd be willing to contribute, so things that you already use in your business that maybe we could refactor in the community, we'd really love to hear from you. And if inbound marketing is your thing and you love inbound marketing, we would absolutely love your help to develop a strategy for Mautic. So in terms of helping people to use Mautic, there's already been an awful lot of work being done on improving the user experience and the interface. So I'm just going to show you some like before and after. So this is the old campaign builder. If you were in the first keynote on the first day, Alan was talking about, sitting at a booth, playing around, trying to get the little blocks on the page. This is what he built. And this is what we're having in the latest revision of this PR. So a much easier to see, easier to understand, much clearer, color differences, and also having compatibility for a dark mode in the future, which I think is amazing. And the work is just outstanding. Please do join the Tiger Team UX UI channel, because we're often asking for feedback of, here's what it used to look like, here's what we think it should look like, yes or no. And it's literally a case of use a Slack emoji and leave a comment if you like. This is the old profile and the new account page, organized into sections, telling you what the information is for and explaining what the fields are. Contact, all one big list of fields, much nicer, cleaner, tidier, and organized. So there's lots of really awesome work that's happening in the UX UI team. However, as you've probably already heard, we really need help with testing. So have a look at mau.tc/tester and maybe see if you can set aside an hour or two a week just to sit and help test some of the UX pull requests. They're very, very simple ones to test because it's like, it used to look like this, it looks like this. Check it works, check it's okay in mobile, and then job's good. So it's really simple to test most of these PRs, but there are lots of them. So we need lots of support. There's also a new initiative which is being proposed by Mautic, who is a developer who's been very active in the community and done lots of really awesome plugins. He's proposing to actually sort out Mautic's bounce management so that it's actually on par with how bounce management should work in an email marketing automation system. So this is like differentiating between hard and soft bounces, making sure that we can set how many times you should follow up and for how long based on what the error code is, and just dealing with bounce management properly. So this project is an individual who wants to work on this, but it needs funding. So if you have a look on LinkedIn, you'll be able to find this. We'll also share it later on Mautic social media, I think we will. And have a look at this, because if you are a business that wants better bounce management, this is a really great initiative. It's like 12 pages, so it's got high-level overviews and then goes into the really detail of like how we're actually going to do this as a developer as well. So well worth looking into this. And the session that Eki did about reverse crowdfunding, I think it's a really interesting way of actually helping to improve Mautic. If you have an idea and you're happy to build it, but you need funding to do it, we can help you to get that funding. I'm not going to steal Mateus's thunder too much because he's got an entire session on this. But let it be known, we have been listening to businesses who've been saying the release cycle, we didn't have a release cycle in 2019. So we actually have a release cycle. We pretty much stick to it, although we've been a bit not so good with the timing recently. But the problem has been that we don't support the releases for long enough, and businesses are struggling to update quickly enough. And so one of the things we're going to do to help that is we're going to support minor releases for a month after the next minor release is done, and the extended support for major releases of 6 months. So this gives you as a business a lot longer period where we're actually backporting fixes to old versions of Mautic. Go to Mateus's session if you want to know more about this. I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, but it's really important and it's a really exciting change. We've also heard from businesses that they really struggle with, if they've got very, very complicated Mautic instances with lots of plugins or lots of configuration and customizations and things like that, that they aren't actually able to update by the time we come out of active and security support, even with those changes I just talked about. And so they've been telling us, well, actually, we would pay if there was a way for us to get security and bug fixes backported to our older versions for like a year or 2 years or whatever, so that we can then get up to the next version. So this is something the council is actually scoping. It will help us with going for the medium to large enterprises who actually need, oh, sorry, I'm being told off. It's security only. It will help the larger enterprises, because they often need to be able to not be out of security support. Yeah, and so as soon as we go out of security support, they have to be on the newest version. This will enable them to have a bit more breathing space so that they get a bit more time to update their Mautic instances. It will be a paid service, and the payments will then go towards us being able to hire developers to actually work on this work. So we're aiming for this to be live in 2025 Q1. And thank you for the correction on that about the security fixes only. The other thing that we've heard from people is that they really want to have a certification program, something that allows them to learn how to use Mautic properly, effectively from the official source. We also hear from training providers that they want to provide that kind of service as well. And companies who want to be able to have their staff certified that they are experts in Mautic. We know that there's different personas. So we have Mautic users, we have Mautic administrators, we have DevOpsy people who are building and integrating and so forth. We're planning to start with marketers and then implement the others. And this is probably going to be an RFP process. So it will be a bit like the trials. We'll put together a spec, we'll put it out for tender, we'll look at the options, and then we'll decide, and we'll have some kind of revenue share. Because we don't want to be running the infrastructure ourselves. It's probably too much for us to actually do. So we're scoping this at the moment. Again, it's something we're hoping that we'll be launching towards the beginning of Q1 2025. So if you're interested in that, there's also a Slack channel for that. So sorry, I meant to say for the extended long-term support, ELTS, if you just want to chat about it, and WG ELTS if you want to be involved in the team. And certification, the same. Hash certification if you want to chat about it, WG certification to be in the team. And in terms of helping people love Mautic, so this is a great one, because I mean, this is where you've been using Mautic a long time and now you actually love it. And you're telling other people about it and you're encouraging other people to get involved. So one of the things that we're hoping to do with this is establishing a Mautic ambassadors program. So this is establishing a regional and country level Mautic ambassador. Again, it's a named role that you are that person for that region or that country, that you advocate and you help educate and you empower community members, driving awareness of Mautic across the country, region, etc. So regionally wise, these are the kind of rough areas that we're looking to cover. So if you are a regional ambassador for Africa, then you would be the person who's trying to drive Mautic adoption in Africa. If you take on America, then you're the point person for people to contact in America. And it kind of helps the community team so that not everything is coming into them, and there's more people who are actually involved in these initiatives. So how can you help? Well, you can review the program overview that Peculiar and I came up. Well, Peculiar did most of the work and we've been reviewing it and discussing it, and provide feedback. So you can have a look at the link on the bottom there, mau.tc/ambassador program. It's a Google Doc, so you can have a look and see what you think and let us know. Also consider becoming the program lead for this whole program, a regional lead or a country lead. And think about how you, as a user of Mautic, can actually help us to grow Mautic in your locality, whether that's your city, whether that's your like larger state or county, whether that's your country. Because actually, the more people we have thinking about how can we get more people using Mautic, the better. And if your business relies on Mautic, then also this is in your best interest, because you'll raise awareness of Mautic, which will raise awareness of your business as well. Yeah, I'm almost at the end. Sorry. And the other thing is creating more opportunity for people to be creative. So enter our design contest. This is online, it's on the portal. If you love design and you're creative, you can create some ideas for us to put on the 10th anniversary swag. So we've already got 2 designs there from CoMarch. So 2 people at CoMarch have submitted designs. There's an opportunity for you to get involved and submit your own. So please go and have a look and help us with creating things that let people express their individuality. And we'd love to hear your ideas. So join us in team marketing on Slack and let's take Mautic to the next level. So that's me done. My voice is almost gone, but I will answer any questions if we have time and if there's any questions to answer.
Thank you so much, Ruth, for all these exciting news. Yeah, let's go really quick through some questions. The first one comes from Camilo Restrepo. He's asking how about contributors from Latin America, Spanish speakers?
Yeah, absolutely. When we had Mautic conference, South America in Brazil, we had a really great contribution day there. We had, I think it was about 30 people who were involved in contributing in different areas. So definitely, I'd love to see more contributions from Latin America. There's also, obviously, there's the ability to translate Mautic itself. So that's one way of translating. But also when we send emails, we quite often would love to be able to translate them into other languages, but we just haven't got enough people available to help us translating. So that's another way that Spanish speakers can help. But also setting up a meetup group in your local area and getting together with people in your local region as well.
Thank you very much. And from Philippe, so now he's asking, don't you think that Mautic's audience and reputation among decision makers could be radically increased by involving more consultancies and digital agencies?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the work that we're doing on the website, that's one of the things that we're aiming at is explaining how you can offer Mautic services as a consultancy or as an agency, how it can complement the work that you're already doing, how Mautic can be part of a DXP, for example, which is what more and more people are looking for. So yeah, absolutely. I think that we need more to be involved as users of Mautic, but also importantly as contributors to Mautic if they're using it. And there are lots and lots of agencies who I've been reaching out to who just won't contribute to Mautic. Like they don't care. They're takers. You know, they take the product and they don't want to actually give anything back. Some people are of that mindset, and some people genuinely can't afford to. You know, so not everyone will, but I do think it's important. Yeah. Thank you for that question, Philippe.
Thank you, Ruth. And one last question, but I think it's partially answered by you already. Wouldn't Mautic certification programs be useful for increasing the ecosystem's confidence in the tool and the professionals who use it?
Yes, absolutely. I think having a certification program means you know what you're getting when you're hiring someone because they have a certain standard that they have reached. Also, as a business, you can show that you are competent in doing stuff with Mautic and you're doing it the right way because you've got people who are certified to work with Mautic. So yeah, absolutely. But I do think it also is important on us to make sure that the quality of the training and the exams are actually high. They're good quality. And that those exams can work cross-culture, can work cross-language, etc.
Yeah. And that was the last question I'm seeing in the Q&A section. And I think there's nothing left in the chat. So
okay.
Thanks
awesome.
a lot, Ruth.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Then let's see in 10 minutes in the General Assembly.
Yep, so everyone who's a member, get ready. Go and vote.
See you.
Bye.